Hi, sixth grade. Welcome back to history. We're still studying our ancient Roman buildings. We talked on Monday about the Pantheon, that dome-shaped structure. We talked yesterday about the aqueducts and the Roman baths, those centers of culture where people would gather and meet. But I have to say today are probably my two favorite of the ancient Rome buildings. Now, the two buildings we're going to talk about today, they really brought forth the very first forms of entertainment that we see happening in ancient Rome. And if you know me, you might know my favorite sport. Yeah, it's actually racing, believe it or not. So racing got its very first start in chariot racing, and that happened here in ancient Rome in the building called Circus Maximus. So pretty cool. I love it. Now, let's take a look at our textbook and see what we can find out about this remarkable place. So Circus Maximus is one of the oldest structures in ancient Rome. You can see a picture of it here on page 400 of your textbook, and this is where chariot racing took place. So it was an extremely popular sport in ancient Rome. You could say that this was the very first form of auto racing because it was, that's right, about 4 horsepower with their chariots there, maybe some more, maybe 2 horsepower, it just depends on maybe what class of racing they were in. But we've got them racing around the oval track with about 250,000 spectators watching them from the stands. Remarkable how large this structure actually was. Now, they think that this structure was built in about the 6th century BC. That's right, it's very, very old part of ancient Roman history. And I found some interesting information here for you. So let's see what it says. It says the modern word circus refers to entertainment by trained acrobats and animals. Circus troupes often traveled from city to city with their shows. The modern circus has its roots in ancient Rome, where circus referred to the building in which certain kinds of entertainment took place. Romans used this word because the buildings were round or circular. Circus means round in Latin. Although the entertainment at a Roman circus was mainly racing or combat, there were also trained animal acts and a parade either before or after the main events. So you can find out some more information about this building and this particular structure by watching the video called Ancient History and Rome. It's on my YouTube channel. You'll have to take a look at that. It's a gentleman who goes and he visits the actual site in ancient Rome. So take a look at that and see if you can learn some more, and maybe you want to build Circus Maximus as your ancient Rome building. Now, the next one that we're going to take a look at was built after Circus Maximus, and actually it was smaller, but it is really the foundation of how stadiums are built today. They're built in very much a similar manner where you have this tiered structure, and what you saw was the most significant people in ancient Roman society were sitting closest to the bottom. Those were those expensive seats. And then you have the very, very top cheap seats. Yeah, those were for like the non-citizens, the slaves, the women even, right? They would be up there at the very top. So they seated the people at the stadium based on how significant they were in society, how much of an influence that they had there in their social standing. But the Colosseum was finished around 70 AD. So it was built quite a great deal of time after the Circus Maximus. We do see that chariot racing also took place here. We see that combat took place here. This is where the gladiators would compete against one another. And actually, at some point in time, they flooded this whole center of the stadium and brought in real live boats to reenact ships fighting against each other. Really amazing things that they did here. So it was a wooden platform at the bottom, and then underneath that part would be kind of like backstage where the gladiators would shift and move, or animals, if they were bringing on animal acts, they had them in certain areas down there. So there's, again, a lot of information on the other video I'm going to have you watch today, which is called The Colosseum, where you get a little tour of what the Colosseum was actually like there in ancient Rome. So really they're inventing here the spectator sport, right? People gathering in huge, massive amounts of numbers to enjoy a sport, similar to how we would go to a stadium to watch baseball or football or racing today. So take a look at that, and maybe you might want to build one of these two buildings. Now, the Colosseum is actually one of the most famous buildings in ancient Rome. It is still partially standing, though not all complete standing, and it's really become the symbol of ancient Rome. When people see a picture of the Colosseum, immediately they think Rome. It's even on some pizza boxes, I hear. So One other fun fact I have for you. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes, make sure I have everything. I do have a friend, that same friend who brought me the souvenirs back from China. I also have a friend who that same friend went to Rome and went to this Colosseum, and they said that the stadium could really be evacuated fairly quickly within a matter of minutes, even though there were thousands of people there, probably about 70,000 people in all who would go to watch the sports. If they needed to evacuate quickly for some reason, it was built in such a way that there were multiple exits. People would go out and they could get out of the stadium in a matter of minutes. So really pretty amazing. Let's take a look here and see what's on the bottom of page 399 of our history book and what information it gives us. Many entrances allowed the crowd to come and go quickly. Like I just shared, in a matter of minutes, they could get in or out of the stadium. The performance area was covered with sand, and again, there was a wooden platform there, and then sand would be on top, and underneath was that piece where they would shuffle around and next act would come forward, and it was kind of like a maze underneath the stadium floor. And then the senators would sit in the front rows, common men and women up at the top. So again, that tiered system where the most important people, those senators, would be down there at the bottom, and then as your social status went down, your seat went up. You're up in those cheap seats. That's right. All right, so that is our Colosseum. Make sure you go and watch both videos today on the YouTube channel, the Colosseum and Ancient History Rome. Those are going to give you some more background information. If you're not already starting on your building, you should probably get started on that. We are presenting them next week on Zoom. But I do have one more Ancient Rome video for you tomorrow. That one will not be about a building. So I would say if you haven't decided, make your decision based on the buildings that we've discussed, or maybe you've researched on your own, and let me know if you need help or have any questions at all. All right, have a great afternoon. Bye.